Welcome to the Sunmall podcast, where we interview the stars of e-commerce. Today we have Lisa Gonzalez-Turner. She's previously worked at companies such as Daily Harvest and now runs her own business called Wholier. So Lisa, maybe you can first talk about how you got into the world of e-commerce.
Yeah. So our company Wholier is a plant-based nutritional supplement brand. I got into e-commerce in a circuitous route. I have always been a food and beverage girl. Love food and beverage, love consumables. And I actually was at a marketing agency out of college, mostly working with big food and beverage brands. And then I started a restaurant in New York. I was part of the founding team and also on the side was working with a sparkling water brand called Spindrift. They're pretty well known at this point.
Yeah.
So just I love food and beverage. I love food and beverage. And while I was at Inde, the restaurant, I reached out to the founder of Daily Harvest because I just wanted to meet other women in food and beverage. And Rachel, she's amazing. And it was meant to be a sort of informal introduction. Hey, just wanted to meet you. Love your brand. Would love to hear about how you built it. And she was like, "Oh, do you want a job?" It's like, no, I'm committed to what I'm doing right now. But I ended up going there, and I think it was like the 24th or 25th employee. So they were still pretty small. So I landed in e-commerce. I don't know if I sought it out. But yeah, Daily Harvest definitely taught me a lot about e-commerce. And I honestly, running your own business, you just learn on the fly. I would say Daily Harvest gave me a nice foundation, but I've had to learn a lot of things on my own too.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's really cool that you had this background in food and beverage and then just organically reached out and then that later became an opportunity for you. So then maybe you can talk about the transition to founding your own brand and give a little background there.
Yeah. So I think I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. My friends have always referred to me as somebody who's defiant. So I'm not one for corporate structures or a process, frankly, at this point. I'm just a doer. And I've been vegan for 8 years. I consider myself to be a conscious consumer. I care about what I put in my body. I care about what I put on my shelf, frankly. I want to buy from purposeful brands. I want to buy from brands that reflect the values that I have as a person back to me. And I went out looking for a multivitamin that was tailored to me as someone who is vegan, and it didn't exist. And beyond that, I just started digging into the supplement industry, vitamins, minerals, anything from the VMS category. Like the legacy brands are just putting trash in their products. And I could talk about this for a very long time, but it was an industry I'd never really thought about. I think it's adjacent to food and beverage, but I was just shocked. It's ineffective, inactive forms. The gummy vitamins don't even get me started on that. Like, loaded with sugar and packaged in plastic, and I think a lot of consumers let it go because they don't realize that what they're buying, these inactive form and poor nutrient combinations and dosages, they just don't realize how little that's doing for them, if anything. And so the impetus for Holier was really to create a brand that aligned with the needs and values of conscious consumers. So people who care about sustainability, people who care about ingredients, people who care about the science that goes into their daily health supplements. And I've been lucky enough to have a network of nutritionists and doctors that partially stems from Daily Harvest, but also beyond that. And I started working on it while I was there, actually, and launched with this initial product, or our initial product, which is the multivitamin for plant-based people. But we're now going into our third year of business, and we are in our third year of business. There you go. Always forget that COVID happened.
Yeah,
COVID was years.
yeah.
Yeah, so we launched August 2020. So we're really trying to expand our portfolio and create a sort of holistic health home for this conscious consumer. Not people who are exclusively vegan or vegetarian, but people who are looking for clean label supplements.
That really makes sense. So you got that authentic background, really caring about health and what goes into these food products, and then really seeing a lot of these kind of regular vitamin supplements. They're maybe not as good as advertised, so really digging there and coming up with a quality product there. One thing I wanted to delve in deeper is, so now you've kind of got the product, what you're kind of really focusing on. How did you get the first 100,000 customers or 100 to 1,000 customers?
Honestly, I think we had a couple decent pieces of press that helped us in the beginning, but I think from 2015 all the way up until 2021, direct to consumer brands have been able to be reliant on two channels, more or less, right? I think influencer is definitely one of another one that is becoming more important, but like Facebook, Google, it was efficient. Facebook could find the customers that you wanted and needed, and it would do all the work for you. You just had to have the right creative. And iOS 14 has really changed that. But we were very much reliant on Facebook in the beginning. And I think today, new brands that are launching, infant brands like us, mature brands, everybody has to really get back to the basics when it comes to their marketing channels. And by basics, I don't mean Facebook and Google. Going back to the original elements of building a brand, which is community, local events, tapping into networks. Obviously, influencer comes into play, but the channels that we've been relying on for the past 6, 7, 8, I guess 9 years just don't really work in the same way that they used to with certain items, right? If you have a high price point, if you're slinging something for $150 or $160 and there's a subscription element, great. Like maybe you can make it work, but I think by and large it's harder if your basket size is 50, 60, even less. But yeah.
Totally makes sense. In the earlier days, Facebook, Instagram was not as competitive. So CAC, cost per click was much lower. So it didn't really matter what you were doing. You could just drive traffic and sales. Now it's much more competitive. And maybe it makes sense if you have a really expensive, high margin, high LTV product. But for almost all other brands, you really have to be more innovative
Yeah.
in your advertising. So what are some of the good marketing channels you guys have used now?
We are really we're still figuring it out, to be honest. We work with a decent amount of influencers, and it's not something we've totally locked yet. But one of the things that we have going for our business is that we have incredible retention, and that allows us to spend a little bit less while we're figuring things out. But I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity in influencer. We're doing more just like grassroots stuff too, and partnerships with local New York places and LA and in our sort of current target markets, although we have a lot of customers in the middle of the country too. But I live in New York, so it makes things easier. So yeah, so I think I wish there was a perfect answer, but I think we're definitely still figuring it out. I think community and influencer and all of those things are really important, and just trying to figure out how you can unlock something that's more profitable than Facebook.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Every brand is always continually evolving their marketing strategies and refining it. I just wanted to delve deeper into both of those. So, any kind of tips on influencer marketing, how to find them, just
Yeah.
overall tips there?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I have some tips. So I think this is from our experience. So I think for other brands, it may be different. But my stance is for our products, gifting can be really expensive, and there's zero guarantee. So we have seen not a lot of success with gifting, especially of recent. And I think a lot of people want to be paid. My other stance is affiliate. While it can work for some brands, a lot of people will not work for you on an affiliate basis. And it's also important to know that affiliate requires pushing people constantly, right? Like getting people to post consistently. And a lot of people just won't end up doing it for a code. And they are aware that a lot of customers also, or a lot of people will just go around and just buy from the
Right.
site
Yeah.
instead of using their code.
Right.
And so what has worked for us is like really targeting a specific profile of people, and doing a combination of affiliate and then flat rate, and justifying that based on CPMs. We only do Reels and TikTok, and we try to have create deeper relationships with people. So we'll do like a test. That test would be a flat rate and affiliate. Sometimes the test will be 2 posts. Normally we just do one. And then depending on how that performs, it couldn't be an ongoing engagement. The people who have worked the best for us are the people who talk about us more consistently. And yeah. And my other point on influencer marketing, and again, this is specific to us. Although I did see this at Daily Harvest, getting people who have personalities is so important, right? Like you trust people when you know about their life and they're not just showing recipes. They're giving tips, they're telling their story. Those are the people who have always performed for us, and that was true at Daily Harvest too. The people who are just making attractive recipes and not showing their faces, not going to do much for you. I promise. I promise you that.
Makes sense. So really looking for people who have personalities, they're posting a lot. You can't just gift it to everyone because if you just gift randomly, it gets the costs go up and you're not gonna maybe land the best person. And then also influencers don't really like just pure affiliate codes. I think you had a great point is as a shopper, sometimes I just get lazy to put in the code.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like it. So we're kind of just focusing on maybe a subset of the influencers with high personality, do a mix of affiliate, but also give them the flat rate.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense there. And then I think the other thing you mentioned is you could try to do some grassroots events. So what exactly does that look like?
Like yoga studio sampling, and we're still trying to figure out whether or not that's a viable like marketing channel for us. But Red Bull has built their entire brand on sampling, right? Like sampling is important when you have products to sample. Luckily we do now, we didn't before. And I think it's great to get live feedback from people, too, and that can help with product iteration and just general positioning. Yeah, I can't say for certain that will be something that we do on an ongoing basis. It's something we're just in the testing phase of right now. But it's worth of everything is worth a shot, in my opinion.
Makes sense. Makes
Given
sense.
you gotta getting out into the real world, I think is important.
Yeah, yeah. I think you got to explore all the options, see what works. It's hard to know beforehand before you try it. But I think you had a great point too, is that it also not only does it build a little bit of hype, but it also you get some hands-on feedback about your product. You get some ROI on the product development.
Yep. When I first launched, I literally went to Union Square with a folding table and lemonade and just talked to people.
I got you.
Yeah.
It's
With the
it's like
Hare
the grown up lemonade stand
Yeah,
kind of.
exactly. And the Hare Krishnas were like chanting next to me as I was trying to talk to people. But we got a couple customers out of it, surprisingly.
That's awesome. I really like the kind of hustle in the early days.
Yeah.
Speaking of keeping your product out there in like more physical space, I know you guys do some retail, you have some in-store. So any kind of comments, learnings on that?
We have done retail at a very small scale so far, but we're going into 800 stores this year, and then 500 next year, like focusing mostly on natural grocery. And so everything we've done thus far has been very small. But I am a big believer in omni-channel. I don't think direct to consumer is a business model.
For sure.
It's a strategy, it's part of it, but it's like one element. It's not the whole picture. So we're onboarding with distributors now, and I am hoping that we'll be successful there, but we're not in there yet, really, in a meaningful way. But I do see it as our future, and it's something that we're going to focus a lot of our effort on making sure that we stay in those doors and that we're meeting and exceeding the velocity expectations.
Makes sense. So you started off at a smaller scale, but now you're kind of ramping it up. I think you said 800 stores in this year. How did you get into those to get that broader audience there?
Yeah, I reach out to buyers. Yeah, everything. I think that building a direct relationship with any retailer is important, and I think it will benefit you in the long run. I understand that a lot of people choose to go through brokers. Fine. I I can't say for certain that it will benefit us in the future, but I would prefer to have a one-on-one relationship with the buyer, because I'm the steward of the business. I'm the founder, and the likelihood that they'll respond to me as the person who's the founder is probably like a little bit higher than some random broker. So it was just all cold emailing, submissions online. I had
Yeah,
one retailer did actually reach out to us, so I will give us that.
makes sense. I think a lot of it is there's no magic bullet. You have to do the cold email, cold LinkedIn, cold outreach. I think for any founder in any industry, that's
All the time.
number one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I did some embarrassing things to get the attention of these buyers. I hadn't heard from one of them in months and months. And they were like, "Oh yeah, we're planning to put you in all stores in July 2025." And I was like, or 2024. And I was like, oh, okay. I literally emailed them 50 times over the past
yeah,
trying to get an
yeah.
answer.
It's always balancing. You want to be persistent, but not too annoying. So it's always
Yeah.
trying
Oh,
to,
you got to give it a little bit of time, but
yeah,
don't be so long. That's a good point. Just
you got to balance that.
gently
It's
following up.
exactly gently, quick reminder
Quick
here.
reminder.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And then I think that point also having that direct relationship is really helpful, puts a face to the person rather than just using like a middle manager there.
Mhm.
One thing I also noticed from your site is you guys have a rewards program. So how did you guys think about designing that? Any lessons there?
Yeah, we're still mostly a subscription business. The majority of our revenue comes from recurring subscription orders. So, and we have like great retention with those customers. And we did want to start giving people more of an incentive to stick around. So we ended up using Yapo. I'm sure there are other solutions out there that probably are cheaper. But I think it definitely has helped with retention. I wouldn't say meaningfully, but enough that it keeps people engaged. And I think that we're going to try to further leverage it. But why do people like shopping at Sephora? It's like everybody loves the little gifts that you get once you get 500 points or whatever it is. And you have to give people a reason to shop on your site if you're available on Amazon. I mean, I think you can offer some products on Amazon and hold off on some on your site, and a lot of brands do that. But that's one element. You have to. There, people are inevitably going to have to pay for shipping. We have people pay for shipping under a certain threshold, and like it's just annoying to shop directly from a brand. So you have to give people a reason to shop from you, and I think rewards is one element to it. And there's of course other things you can do, but
That's a really good framing. It's like with Amazon, it's very convenient with Prime and stuff like that. So if they're going to buy from your site, having a rewards program or something that makes it better to buy on your own site. And the other strategy that some people do is maybe sometimes hold out on certain products, but the rewards or subscription program is a way to kind of differentiate
yeah,
yourself.
and I think you can have like more competitive pricing on your site. I think at a certain scale, Amazon may ding you for that. I don't know. I've heard that. Like,
I've
you're
heard that too. I not firsthand, but just like on Twitter.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
just,
They're like, your best price is supposed to be on Amazon, and they can do that because Amazon sadly owns the world. So yeah, we do have better pricing on our site, and Amazon hasn't dinged us for it yet. But I think that's an eventual state. Anyway, yeah. So I think giving people a reason to buy directly from your store where you have a better margin and they're going to get slower shipping speeds and maybe have to pay for shipping is just yeah, smart to do.
makes sense. So, what are some of the other kind of big focuses for you for the next 6 months?
So we are working on getting a bunch of products out the door. So that's one element. And then the second thing is retail. This is a whole new game, like working with a distributor and two distributors is all very new to us. So that is definitely going to have a learning curve to it. And we want to make sure that we're successful in the 800 doors that we're going into this year. And then lastly, although I would argue this is probably one of the most important, is just really trying to diversify our marketing channels, like going deeper into influencer trying to create a sense of community around our brand in a meaningful way that helps support people along their health journey and creates a halo around our business. It's not easy, but it's
For
definitely
sure.
important.
Yeah. So really ramping up retail because there's a huge ramp up there, and then also seeing on new products, and then also obviously you always want to continue improving marketing, improve the brand. So those are some other focuses there.
Mhm.
And then what's the long-term goal for the brand and the company?
Oh, yes, long-term vision. From which aspect? Like what we want to achieve or how we want to help people, all of the above? I don't know.
All of the above,
All
whatever
of
you
the
want.
above.
Yeah.
My long-term goal, we really want to clean up the supplement aisle. And it sounds like a silly tagline mission, but it really has been my goal from the beginning is to set a new standard in this space, not just from an ingredient perspective, but from a sustainability perspective, and push larger brands to consider more sustainable solutions as it relates to their packaging and their sourcing. And we want to create a holistic portfolio of products for this conscious consumer, people who care about what they're putting on their body and on their shelf and in their body and on their shelf. There you go. So we hope to eventually have a really broad range of products and be a go-to resource for people who are looking to improve their health, whether it's their skin, cognition, and heart health, all of the above. So we want to be the next great supplement brand. So that's the hope.
Awesome. Awesome. So really, I really can sense your passion and the mission driven here, really wanting to help people's health and really put great products that are actually good for you. So I wanted to step back a bit and just talk about e-commerce in general. So any kind of overall trends in e-commerce you're excited about?
Yeah, I think live shopping is in its nascency, but I think that there'll be a lot of opportunities there that could really help push direct to consumer forward. And obviously, AI, I think some people are figuring out how to use it to benefit them and push their business forward, but there's still a lot. No, I don't know anybody who's totally figured out how it's really going to make a difference in their business yet to an extent. Like, so I think, but over the next year, it's year and a half, things are going to change a lot. And I think the brands that lean into it sooner and just accept it as as their fate and are the ones that are going to succeed. But I will say that I like direct to consumer. If I were to launch a brand today, I would not be focusing. I would not focus on direct to consumer in the way that people were doing 2-3 years ago launching brands. I think really focusing on getting into retail early is important. But that's my stance.
It totally makes sense. It's hard to just be on one channel, your own channel, making sure to diversify the mix. And then, yeah, live shopping's really taken off in other markets such as China. It's due to pick up in more Western markets. And then AI is kind of all the rage. Do you use AI in your business at all or trying to?
Yeah, we're still figuring it out. But I like, yes, ChatGPT is great. Jasper, I don't love Jasper, but it's fine. Like I think from a copywriting perspective, yes, it really helps. And the Photoshop or the actually just the entire Adobe suite is okay. It's getting there, but it's definitely going to be very powerful from a creative standpoint. Those are really the three that we use currently, and there's so many new ones coming out every day. It's hard to know which to test. I
Yeah.
want somebody to just tell me what to use.
Yeah, there's these people on Twitter where every day they try to summarize like the new things, and there's usually like 15 new things like every day. I think Adobe, maybe like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, they put this new plugin out, which is actually pretty cool, where it's like you give it like part of your photo, and then it'll auto complete the rest
Yeah,
of the photos.
that's what I've been. So I downloaded the beta of it. They had the beta of the whole suite actually. It's pretty crazy. But
Yeah.
AI photography and like retouching, I don't know if you've used Dolly, really struggles with hyper realistic stuff still. And I mean, it's fine, but don't ask it to make a hand because the hand will
For
end up
sure. Yeah, yeah,
mangled.
yeah. In a previous thing, maybe till last December, we were working on AI for fashion photography and stuff like that. And it was like pre Dolly and pre all these things. And these results that are coming are really cool to see. They're definitely not right there. There's the whole hand problem everyone knows about, but
Yeah,
I'm sure like in the next 6 months or
I
something.
know. In the next 6 months, we're all going to be using it. I'm fearful of what this will do for us, but yeah, you can't fight
Yeah.
fate.
Yeah, I think it'll make you can do more personalization, targeted
Yes,
images,
yes,
stuff like that. So there'll just be a new kind of new layer that people
yes,
compete on.
exactly. I think personalization it's still hard, right? Klaviyo, what do people get to do? Unless you have like a massive engineering team, you can't make an email that's like truly personal, right? Sure, you mean like, oh, you just bought this product and your name is Lisa.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's the Klaviyo segment. I think
Yeah,
that's
it's
kind
just like
of
okay.
that's
There's definitely like limitations in terms of how communication, like the communication that direct to consumer brands can do currently. But I think that AI will definitely allow us to have like, hyper personalized conversations with our customers. Hopefully,
for sure. And then this is a wrap up fun question. Any kind of favorite shopping experience or brand you've recently been really impressed with?
that's a good question. Well, on a personal level, I really like this cereal brand, Three Wishes. They're great. I don't know if you tried them. It's like
I
healthier cereal.
I don't do cereal, but what is kind of good
it's
about it or great about it?
it's delicious, and I think the
Okay,
branding is nice too. From a marketing sort of branding perspective, I think this. I don't drink this, nor do I hang out in the cannabis world. But it's a cannabis brand called Can. I don't know if you've heard of them. I think they're in New York now, but yeah. So it's a cannabis beverage that they're trying to be make. It's supposed to be like a social tonic, but it's like you drink it in place of alcohol. And they have amazing marketing and branding. So I think they're great.
thanks for listening to this episode of the Sun Mall Podcast. Please make sure to subscribe.